Here comes Fast Blue on he fires a slap shot.
One of these days, we'll get a normal intro with no background sound effects.
Why not?
Okay, welcome to episode 13. We're going to move past Dave's antics. Guy is back, our Boston Bruins Brazilian expert.
Hello, everyone. I kind of like Morris's intro.
Thank you.
It's his special thing.
I
He's
really
special, all right.
Listen here, you. You're eating my ice cream. Yeah, you look at it. You got a mouthful of my ice cream.
That's the famous Morris cream. For those that don't know, haven't tried yet.
Yeah, what flavor?
Sugar Shack maple.
Comes in all kinds of flavors, right?
Do you like Sugar Shack maple? You know,
I did. True.
You come back to Canada, I'll trade you some of that for some good Brazilian coffee.
Yeah, we can make a trade-off like that. Yeah.
I'll try some Brazilian coffee.
Fair enough. Too bad I cannot fly back with a chunk of Morrissey cream.
Yeah, you'd have to ship that in a freezer. I don't know. That'd be tough.
That would be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, with the weather it's been around here, I don't know what it's been like up there, but the weather it's here, it's like you could just leave it outside.
Yep.
It's been cold, snowy, you can bury it. For me, I was driving to work today and I just had 3 perfectly timed situations that almost caused me to go in the ditch today as I'm coming into work.
Right, because Dave doesn't know how to drive and he doesn't have winter tires.
They're all seasons. But no, when it's pitch black and the snow is like blizzard-like with the snow squalls, and then you have high beams coming the other way and a truck right in front of you that you can't even see, that's only maybe 50 feet in front of you, slams on the brakes. It created just a big cluster F right at that moment. But the only thing that kept me from going into the ditch was the giant snow piles at the side of the road that kept me on course. It was pretty slippery, and it's
Welcome to Canada, Guy. The snow makes you go off the road, but it also sends you back on.
Yes.
But yeah, Dave, you're actually a good driver.
It's no joke.
You should still get winter tires, but
it's no joke.
Okay, moving on from Morrissey stuff.
Gee, what's the weather down there?
Sunny.
It's rainy. Our summers are very humid, so it rains a lot, but it's very warm as well. So, I mean, I'm the one that should be having some Morrissey cream at the moment, but not too bad.
For those of you listeners, aka the 1 or 2 people we have every episode, I work for a company that makes ice cream, and they call me Morsey on Xbox, and so that's where that comes from. Because I make the company I work for makes the ice cream and I supply it. They call it Morsey cream.
Are you afraid to say the company's name?
He almost said the line, Durga. He almost said he makes ice cream.
Shouldn't.
We were close. It's too bad. It would have been video evidence.
In fairness, that's the joke. That's the joke, that I make ice cream. I don't make it. I just coordinate the shipments of it.
You make ice cream.
You make more ice cream.
You should be proud. It's very good ice cream.
It is good ice cream. It's very good. We also make milk. You've tried my chocolate milk. It's very good too.
Yeah.
But we're not going to say the name.
Okay.
So
one day,
speaking of winter storms and summer Brazilian storms, let's head on to another storm, the Carolina Hurricanes.
And you can speak in a normal voice instead of going, let's move on to another storm.
Yeah, Mr. News host.
Don't hate the puns.
Okay, boys. Anyway, our first and main topic of today, and the topic of every hockey podcast, I'm sure, Rantanen to Carolina for Natchez, Jack Drury, and a second-round pick. Hall also goes to Carolina. Chicago gets a third-round pick and retains 50% of Rantanen's contract to make the cap work. So what do we think of that?
So we'll start off with the Chicago side because that's the small, easy, get out of the way part.
Fair?
They're getting rid of Taylor Hall because they're finally admitting that they're not a good team. Like at the start of the season, even they believed that maybe they still had a chance to be competitive. I think they were hoping to take that step, which they clearly haven't. Getting rid of Taylor Hall, they get rid of that $6 million whatever contract it is. They take on, was it 4.5 of the Rantanen retention?
About, yeah.
So they gained 1.5 in cap space and got paid to do it.
Okay.
While also
so
making their team worse.
how
to-
competitive do you think they thought they were going to be?
I think they thought they were going to be more competitive than they are. Like maybe pushing for a couple points out of the wild card.
I don't know about that. Because the guys that they signed, some of the names were nice, but if you look at the numbers that those guys have actually put up the past few years and their ages too, none of them were real game breakers. It was just basically filling out your top six with middle six guys and then adding some aging defensemen.
I truly think that their management was thinking that they were going to be better than they were, at least competitive. But
that said,
nobody
I'm going to add
thought
one
they
thing.
were
They
good.
got a third round pick, but that is their own third round pick that they got back from
We know.
Carolina, meaning it's basically going to be a late second. So if you look at it that way, a late second for Hall, they had not gotten anything close to that as an offer for him, and all they do is retain some money. That's actually not too bad. I think people are ripping on Chicago a little bit too much for only getting a third.
I think it's a smart move. They gained some cap space, and they got paid their pick back to do it.
Key, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm happy for Hall. Should be out
Fair.
of that mess. I kind of agree with both of you. I agree with Morrissey in the sense that they added some experienced players. Maybe if things go well, if the lines click, they could be trying not to be bottom feeders. But at the same time, I agree with Andrew that they were never competing for a wild card with that roster of early this season at all. Nothing close to that.
I didn't believe that they were going to be a playoff contender. I didn't think so. I thought they were going to be exactly where they are.
I mean, you look who they sign. Bertuzzi, not a bad player, a decent guy.
Well, he's a top six guy, second line guy. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
second line guy.
This time last year, I'm pretty sure with the Leafs, he only had like 3 or 4 goals. He's already got in the teens, at least.
Yes, he's done a lot better. Tiver Teravainen, good player, 30,
Good player.
vet. Same time, he's
Excuse me.
second line at best. He's not a first line player. Not a game breaker. Like, you could plop him on the first line if you needed to, but he's not going to shine with Bedard.
He's not carrying the first line, but he can be the third guy on that first line.
Yeah, he could be a complimentary piece. That's fair.
On a bad team.
But yeah, I agree with both of you. They were never destined for the playoffs. They added a 37-year-old Alec Martinez. They just paid some guys to get some experience in there, kind of
TJ
buffer their
Brody?
young guys. Sorry?
They brought in TJ Brody after his very obvious decline in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kiev,
Anyway,
But
who
coming back
Vikings were
to
overpaid for.
Hall,
yes.
which is to me is the biggest winner on this trade out of everyone is Taylor Hall. He's gonna
Hall
be
goes from
cup contender. Yeah, he goes to one of the worst teams to one of the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have to feel good for the guy. He's played what? He's getting close to 1,000 games maybe already. And he came in as a first overall. He played well in different teams, different moments. He was the league
Hart Trophy winner.
MVP. Yeah, exactly. And when you look at a guy with that kind of story and look at him, and he played in like 5 teams already. You don't expect that for the guy with
Yeah.
that pedigree and that performance. So I
He's
hope
also
he
that
does well
sorry.
there. He deserves something good for his career.
To
He was
answer
also that
your
original
question,
first round pick. That first, like the first of that 4 of 7 first overall picks for Edmonton. So look at the team he came from
yes.
too. He started
Um,
off his career on a very bad team. Now he's coming from another very bad team, the Boston Bruins. I'm kidding.
He's at 880 career games, if you're wondering.
Yeah, there we go.
Keep in mind too, with this, with him going to Carolina, he wasn't doing that good on the Hawks this year. He obviously had the injuries last year,
Nobody's doing good on the Hawks, to be
but
fair.
36 points in 61 games with the Bruins in the 22-23 season, but 61 before that. Like, he could bounce back a little bit on the Canes. He's going to be playing with good players, probably on the third line, and he won't have the same sort of competition to face.
Yep.
So it might be an easier time.
Yeah, he wasn't that record-breaking regular season Bruins team. He was playing third line there. He was carrying the third line. Maybe his stats doesn't show that much, but he was a guy really carrying the line, and he was among the entire Bruins team, a very successful team, the forward with the best clear entrances and
That's
some
impressive.
other very specific stats. He's still a good player. He still skates very well. He will not put up points like he did in the past, but on a quality roster with like Carolina, he will perform. He will be an asset for them. He will be a factor.
So I guess we all agree Hall to Carolina. Good pickup, even at $6 million, because it's just for this season, and they have the room.
Yeah.
A third to get Hall and have 50% of Miko's contract retained. It's kind of a win-win because of it being a very early third. Now, let's move on to the next smallest pieces, basically. So Jack Drury and a second-round pick.
Jack
Now,
Drury.
he is not exactly a household name, so I dug up a little bit on him.
He scored for
And
Colorado last night, didn't he?
he did. Most players do that, though. They always want to get that first goal quick, get the monkey off your back. 'Cause once you score a goal, no one's going to pay attention. It's like, okay, our new asset scored. Okay, he's good. And then no one cares after that. You see that a lot. But Jack Drury,
He's from New York.
his defense is excellent.
He's a mid-round second pick in 2018, so that's a tough draft year just because of the COVID factor. Like some of his biggest years for developmental were shut down the developmental years were shut down because of COVID. Like, that's a very tough situation to be in. And I think we're seeing that with like other players like Shane Wright and Lafreniere a bit too. So like it's tough in that sense, but like
So
he's not a small guy. He's not an overly big guy, but
take a look at this.
let's see.
So Jay Fresh card, I love Jay Fresh cards. He's not doing much offensively, pretty much at all. But look at the defense. As a third or fourth line guy, if he's paired with some offensive guys, to have a shutdown center that's 24 years old, it's pretty good. Cheap too, 1.7 mil for the next couple of years. It's not like, oh my god, what a piece. But considering the Avalanche's struggles this season with injuries and how bad their depth got, like they had defenseman Oliver Shylington playing left wing on the fourth line. That's how bad their depth was. So
now they also had 8 of their top 12 out.
Yes, it was ridiculous. But to add a little bit of insurance down there, just another guy that can play, he's a good fourth liner that's gonna shut down other teams.
Yeah, like with those injuries that they had basically Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Ivan, and Kivaranta, and that was basically their entire team, and then their farm team was called up.
Well, he better play defense like Scott Stevens because that 1% finish is
Oh yeah.
scary.
Hey,
Yep.
well, that 1% already showed up. He scored a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next one's coming next season.
Now,
he's got
so
one of 5 goals that he scored so far this season for Colorado. But
basically,
another stat you can't ignore is he's 57.5% on the faceoffs this year.
That's
As a
good.
fourth liner,
faceoffs,
that's with that kind of
that's
defensive
very good.
stats, that's a guy that's gonna be very effective on that fourth line to
That's
get
it's
the
someone
puck
that
out
you're
of
going
your
to put out
zone.
at the end of the game when you have a 1-goal lead, and you need to win a
Exactly.
draw. But moving on,
His career
he's
is
very good. It's
56.2.
not like an oh my god pickup because frankly, those guys, they're not all around, but they're easy to get. You can get one of those in the off season, a third, fourth line center.
Yeah.
The real one, they got the second back too, so kind of equals out payment a little bit. But Natchez is having a career year and has been absolute dynamite for the Avalanche since he showed up.
For that whole 1 or 2 games.
It's the clips that I've watched. I know obviously it's a very short period, but it's how well he's fit in so far. There's a goal that you guys might have seen. So
The
I sent
Rantanen one?
it, yes, in the
Yes.
chat. So obviously McKinnon feeds Lehkonen, and Lehkonen scores while he's sitting on his ass, and that's impressive enough to get a 1T off. But that initial pass from one side of the ice to McKinnon's stick,
That was
perfect
incredible.
lane. That was a very good pass by Natchez. It was very good chemistry between the two of them, considering they played together for a handful of games.
He found McKinnon. That's a talent of a star is they're finding that open ice to get to. They know where they need to be. And Natchez is a guy that's going to put the puck there.
Yeah.
So it's a match made in heaven in that sense. But that's what also McKinnon had with Rantanen. Like McKinnon, as much of a goal scorer as he is, he's still a very good playmaker. And Rantanen
Yes.
was complementary to that. So
I'll agree with that, but Rantanen's a great hockey player, one of the top ones in the league. One thing I'll say is his skating isn't on the same level as Natchez. Natchez is fast. That top line now, Lehkonen's very fast. McKinnon, you don't even have to say he's fast. He's on another level of fast. And add Natchez to that mix, you got one speedy line, and the way the game is played today, speed means a lot. That's why your best players are some of your fastest.
I didn't realize this, but Natchez is like just because I didn't know a lot about him, because he kind of plays for Carolina, who's not a big market, and they're not in the spotlight often. But
Yeah,
he's not a small guy. He's 6'3", 195. Like he's a lean, tall guy, but that's not bad either. It's like does he have that grit? I don't know, but
No.
Rantanen is a nutcase. How much
Natchez
of
and
that?
Rantanen, they are very different players.
Mhm.
Very
yes.
different.
I'd almost describe Rantanen as a power forward in a way. He's just that big body, and
But
skating's
more on
not
the
great.
skilled side. He has better hands than your average power forward.
Yes. He's unique. That's why he's a top player.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Guy. You're about to say something else.
No, I was pretty much saying that Rantanen is a better finisher. He's a good playmaker as well. He makes some like tape to tape passes, great power play guy. And Natchez is more relying on his skating ability to make plays. So they will
Yes.
not like replace the other one on their new teams. So let's see how that's going to work. But I mean, Rantanen is established star, right? And Natchez is
Yeah.
maybe a star in the building at this point.
He's
He started
26, so he could be a late bloomer.
Yeah.
He's in the start of his prime right now, as most NHL forwards are. Their prime's at 26, 27, 28. sometimes 29 to 30. Like that's their
So-
prime. But yeah.
So if he's destined to be a star, that's a good thing for the Avs. They're getting him on the right moment, while Rantanen is in the middle of his superstar
Yes.
stage,
And
like that.
Rantanen, obviously, he's still great without McKinnon, but without McKinnon, in 48 games, he's put up 22 goals and 31 assists in his career. So still really good stats, but that's a
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah.
You know, considering he's been a 100-point guy multiple times.
I mean, man, you take the one of the top 3 best players in the world from your side, you're gonna decline a little bit, everyone. And I think he still keeps real solid numbers. It's like 1.2 points per game, about that. I mean, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Considering that when McKinnon is not there, they don't have anything close to that to replace him. Who's the next center there? Is Middlestad?
Yes, they don't have great center depth right now, and Middlestad's had a down year this year.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's hard to replace a guy who put up 104 points last season, 105 the year before, and 92.
Yeah.
You know, this year he had 64 and 49 for the Avs.
like when you think about it, how many players had more points than Rantanen last year? Not many. Like you're looking at Matthews had 107, Draisaitl had 106, Pasternak at 110, Panarin 120, McDavid 132, McKinnon
limited.
140, and Kucherov at 144. So you're only looking at 7 players ahead of them. Like that's you're not going to replace that in a 1-for-1 trade.
He's a top 10 forward in the league,
Yes.
right?
Now,
We may add what? Robertson there? A couple other guys? Maybe. I don't know.
Who, sorry?
Robertson, Marner.
Robertson wasn't up there actually.
Yeah.
So Rantanen was 8th. So the 9th and 10th were JT Miller and William Nylander at 103 and 98 respectively. So he's one of 9 players that broke the 100-point mark. Robertson, I'm actually not sure where he landed because he's not on the page
anyway,
here. But
we don't
yeah.
have to worry about Robertson
No.
too much. But you're not
I
just looking at points either. You're thinking of, like, if you're taking player for 5 years or so, you know, who's your top players there?
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, what I don't really get is like you take a guy like Rantanen, great player, performing, has won the cup there, was a major piece of that cup winning team.
Mhm.
Yep.
He's been there forever. Everybody seems to like him. And he comes out at the media and said he would take a home discount to stay there and still got traded. The story is still, I still don't get it.
I can tell you he was offered $11.75 million for 8 years, and he turned it down.
The rumor that I had heard was he was looking for 14, and that was his original ask. Then
Yes.
he was offered that, and he turned it down. But that's business of negotiations. One guy starts off high, the team starts low, and you meet in the middle somewhere.
Well,
That's
the
the
thing
typical
is,
negotiations. But are you really going to, as a team, say, okay, this is what we're offering you? Do you really think you're worth more than Nathan McKinnon?
that's what I was going to get at. They had an internal Nathan McKinnon cap hit, so no one was allowed to have more than McKinnon getting re-signed. Obviously, that pretty much is just Rantanen, but they weren't willing to go above that because they didn't feel that he was a better player than McKinnon. Of course, he's not.
Not many are.
They will be willing to go above it for Makar, but how can you not? You know,
The best defenseman in the league.
yeah, he'll be
Still
re-signing at 29.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it. But I understand, like, even if Rantanen went down to 13 million, do you want to pay him 13 million?
With the new cap where it's projected to go, that's not a terrible deal. Because if you look at what McKinnon's signed for right now, that's still looking at 14, 15-ish, somewhere around there. That's probably what McKinnon would have already signed for if the cap where it's going was when he signed.
Yes, but you can still use that leverage of the best player on the team who just signed the contract, signed it for 12.6.
In a flat cap era. Like,
Yes.
12.6 sounds like a good number for Rantanen's new deal. And again, what surprises me is the fact that he got surprised. But because, I mean, a player with that history on that team, the GM probably got to his agent and said, okay, bro, here's the deal. We are not taking the chances of losing him for nothing at the end of the season. So we either get to this number here to 12.6, whatever number it is, or you're going to get traded. We are not taking the chances. And by the way that Rantanen reacted, I don't think they had this last convo, you know?
No, because he was blindsided. The team was blindsided too.
Yeah.
But you can't pay him that much because imagine having 12.6 for McKinnon and let's say 13 for Rantanen. Let's say you took $1 million less than what he originally wanted, and then $9 million for Makar, who needs to be re-signed in 2027, and he's going to demand a lot. So you're going to have double-digit numbers for 3-year players. It's just too much.
Just
we
like
have
curiosity,
we have seen examples that it doesn't work, right, Marzi?
Yeah, we have great examples.
Hey,
Multiple
those contracts
exit examples.
Those contracts would work in the new cap era. Like those.
Yeah, they don't
fair.
work in this cap era though.
No, they don't. So back then, when they signed them, the idea was that the cap was going up, so they would have that extra cap space. And Dubas also messed up, but COVID hit, and it made
Okay, let's get through an episode without really talking about the Leafs.
Well,
sorry for bringing it up.
There is a Leafs topic coming up later, but
so overall, let's give a trade grade here. So, what do you give? Let's start with Chicago again.
Chicago.
What do you give Chicago for retaining 50% of his contract and getting their own 3rd round pick back?
I'll give them a B.
I'm in agreement with that.
Fair. I'd say B, B+.
It's not spectacular, but they got an asset of their own back. They got rid of a player that was going to walk, and they retained a little bit of money, and it's going to be a good pick for the future.
It
Nothing
sets
crazy,
them up. But $1.5 million just to take on a little bit of cap at the trade deadline. That's worth another 4th. Like, you gain that little bit of space. That's worth a 4th-ish. Like, someone else wants to pick up a player like JT Miller or Pedersen. You want to take his cap for a year or so. Like, not those players, but you know what I mean. Like a higher contract player from a team that wants to move somebody in the last year. Take off $1.5 million off their cap hit, make the cap work, give me a 4th. And that's what they just got paid a 3rd round to do. I don't think that's an asinine ask for that one.
No, you have to keep in mind they currently have 4.7 mil of cap space, so they can retain a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're going for Ryan O'Reilly. Isn't his cap hit like 4.5?
Yeah, something like that. Let's see, that's a whole other topic.
He has a few years still on his contract, I believe.
Now, how about Colorado? What do we think of their trade grade? I'm going to have a different answer than both of you, but I'm curious.
Just because I don't know how Necas will be in the playoffs, and Rantanen is a playoff style forward. It's for that one. I don't agree with it as much as some others would. I'd probably give him a B-.
Okay, but what if they got Pat Maroon in the trade?
Hey, he's a playoff performer.
That would jump the needle to an A+.
A++.
That is an inside joke because Morrissey went on for about 20 paragraphs on why Pat Maroon is the key player to win a cup.
Key 4th line role player. because of the
Anyway,
mentality.
okay. We won't get into that too much because it's got to go back and forth. But
That's a different topic. But
Key, what do you think? What do you give them?
Well, I had B minus on my mind when Morrissey said it. I'm gonna stick to it. I think that's the fair. That's
Okay.
the fair evaluation there.
it has the opportunity to make or break a GM. That kind of trade.
Well, I'm gonna give it a slightly different grade. I'm gonna say B because it's better than losing Rantanen for nothing, and especially when it's getting close to the deadline. This gave them more flexibility without having to rush it, getting the trade they want. And I'm not gonna officially label it a B or anything higher or lower yet because they are not done. They're still gonna make another trade. There's been too many reports of it for it not to be true. So if they go around and use that newly acquired cap space, they don't have crazy amount, but let me double check here. They have 4.7 mil. So if they go and get a rental player and bolster that line forwards even more, because honestly their defense is too good, it could work. I've heard rumors of Casey Middlestat being shipped out too. So
Offline discussions we did talk about that. Maybe that's a fit in Vancouver.
yes,
And
there
as
is
a part of
rumors of
package.
them pursuing Pedersen or Miller.
What would they give to get a Pedersen or Miller?
Millerstadt would be the main piece. And the thing is, I think it's going to depend on how pressured Vancouver is because the GM came out and said, oh, yeah, there's problems between them. We're going to have to do something. Every time they get along, it doesn't take long until they go back to fighting. Let's paraphrase, but that's basically what he said.
It's a broken marriage.
You need a lot more than Middlestat to make that deal go through, man. You need to throw a first and some.
So
solid
they don't have a
prospects
first.
and-
They have 2
Yeah.
seconds. So
You could use Chicago as a retention.
you know what? Let's do it. Let's come up with a mock trade for Pedersen or Miller. Doesn't really matter which. So Middlestat, since it's been rumored, let's use him as the main piece.
Middlestat.
Are they
No.
deep enough on D to trade one of their defensemen, not named Devin Taves or Cale Makar?
Those guys are untouchable, realistically.
Could you trade Josh Manson? He's 33. He's a right shot D.
The value as a right shot defense is there.
He's signed to a nice cap hit, 4.5 mil, and he is good. He's been reliable. He's a top 4 guy.
He is. A good shutdown defenseman. Plays hard, good playoff performer.
I can't see them shipping off Josh Manson because they still want to compete for the cup. I mean, the fact that they just shipped off both of their goalies in a matter of like a week, and
That's different. That was upgrading massively.
yeah, but that's what I mean. If you're going for a cup, if you're not looking to make a cup push, you're not making those trades.
Hey,
Okay.
if you want to get an elite player, it's not Josh Manson, man. You got to give Girard, like he's much younger, very good. I mean, you're not going to make that with Josh Manson.
You could give Girard. Girard is underrated because of who he plays behind. He's a left shot D. Left shot, everyone knows they're more replaceable. And Utah is going to be shopping their defensemen a little bit. They have a surplus now, just because they had some guys come back from injury. So they have Ian Cole. Could be shopped. Oli Mata could be shopped. They both be rentals, but it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
It'd have to be not a 3-way trade, but those trade calls would have to happen at the same time. They wouldn't risk it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine how scary Colorado would be with a McKinnon Miller or a McKinnon Pedersen down the middle.
Yeah.
The big issue there is the cap hit. You'd have to get somebody to retain some because Vancouver's not going to, because they're looking for another piece to basically replace those guys.
Okay, let's play Puck GM. Puckpedia has a GM setting, so let me see if I can make this work.
I think they make a push for Ryan O'Reilly. The cap hit works perfectly. Ryan O'Reilly's basically been told, Barry Trotz has come out and said we're going to treat him like he has a no trade clause. Which why would you do that? But he has no trade clause. He doesn't have a no trade clause, and the cap hit's perfect. He's signed to 3 years, and everybody knows what type of player he is. He's a strong shutdown defenseman. Center who can put the puck in the net. He's a very, very reliable playoff performer. That's what the Leafs had with him. He just didn't want to re-sign with the Leafs because he doesn't want to deal with the media. So I think Ryan O'Reilly is probably one of their biggest targets. And Barry Trotz has made some questionable moves, like that Barron one to Montreal. That has not worked out at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Carrier was the better defenseman there.
So if I'm Colorado, I'm probably looking to inquire about it, and then maybe pester him about Ryan O'Reilly, seeing what kind of ask he has, and working from there. I think that's the guy that they should go for.
Sorry to interrupt, but let's do it this way. So let's say Middlestat, Gerard, and some other piece or something for Pettersson. So the one with the higher cap at 11.6. Mm-hmm. That works out perfectly. If they traded just those two, they have a plus $850,000 cap hit. That's it. And then
so they're a less than league minimum player to bring in if they can.
That's the only change they have. So, they'd have space as of today, as of the way their cap sits.
Okay.
With that, they'd have 4.762 in cap space left.
4.762.
You can really use that, because it's like mid to late season, so it's not like you take the entire cap hit for the entire season on that period, right? So that will give you room to sign like an $8 million guy.
Yeah, Guy, you can probably explain it better than me, but cap works by day. That's why when teams place players on IR, they gain cap space just a little bit. But like Vasilevsky last year being on IR for so long, Tampa gained space from that.
Yes.
Mark Stone magically arriving back in the playoff time.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a $10 million guy on the shelf for 2 months, you get 20% of his cap space, of his cap hit for that season. It's an average number, so you have an idea of how it works. But
easy math.
Yeah. So when you're in February, past mid-season, if you sign an $8 million cap hit guy right now, if you trade for one, it's not going to count $8 million to your cap space at this moment. So Colorado can certainly use that.
Getting back to the main thing, if Colorado makes another move, whether it's Ryan O'Reilly, Pettersson, Miller, or some other second middle six forward, does that change the trade grade for either of you?
No, it's another trade. I mean, they of course, part of evaluating the trade is that they got some cap space, but making good use of that is another trade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to go in fully on this. Ryan O'Reilly is the guy that they need to pick up. They have Middlestat. They have McKinnon. They just got rid of Rantanen, who's a huge playoff performer, key part in their Stanley Cup playoffs. Ryan O'Reilly was with the St. Louis Blues when they won the cup there.
He was captain.
He's a nutcase. His face-offs are 56% over his whole career. And he penalty kills. He can play on the power play. And imagine him slipping into a third line role, and then you have their newly acquired Jack Drury on the fourth. Their center depth has got a lot thicker right there.
That would be insane. And just to clarify for everyone, Dave has this thing, so any really good competitive player, one that has that right drive to win, he calls them mental, just to clarify for everyone listening.
Okay, now we're going in on this. There's 3 mentalities. There's I like to win, I hate to lose, I'm putting everything on the line to make sure that we win no matter what, even if it costs me an arm and a leg. Those types of players, like that third ranked players, are players like your Nathan McKinnons or Nikita Kucherovs. Those type of players that are
Your
absolutely
Pat Maroons.
Pat Maroon is like that. It has to be right through your lineup. Those are the teams that are going to win your Stanley Cups. Guys that are full of your nutcases.
Okay. I
That
think you're talking about nutcases enough.
That would be
everyone.
fun to see O'Reilly going back to Colorado after leaving that team to win the cup in St. Louis.
Honestly, I think a reunion would be okay there. He goes from Colorado to Buffalo to St.
Yeah.
Louis, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was liked in Colorado. I don't remember any real drama surrounding that trade. It was just a simple business trade. There was no hate.
I think they had some issues to negotiate his contract. I
Okay,
don't think he was a UFA yet. He was about to be a RFA maybe, and
gotcha. Well, it was long enough ago now.
yeah,
and that was a different GM, wasn't that Sakic?
Yeah, Sakic was GM at the time, and recently, for the past few years, switched to president, and I believe Chris McFarland is now GM of the Avs. But they still work together, obviously. But yes, Dave, I agree. If they went out and got O'Reilly, which would be a cheaper option, and they have McKinnon, Middlestat, O'Reilly, Drury, or maybe switch O'Reilly and Middlestat down the middle, that is some of the best center depth in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, O'Reilly's 33, so he's a little bit older. You probably have 3 years left that he's going to have good production if he can hold it that long. He is excellent defensively. That usually doesn't drop off. So that would be a bonus. And at 4.5 mil, that's a cap that they could eat.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't hurt too much. And he's also a UFA at the same time as Makar, so it wouldn't affect the signing there. So honestly, all in all, it's a good pickup. Good thought on that.
I would love to see
could
him.
be.
I would love to see him as a Toronto Maple Leaf again, but it's not going to happen because he'll probably just decide not to report. He'll be like, I'm not going there.
I think Trotz respects him enough to, hey, I don't want to go to Toronto. Okay, you won't go to Toronto.
I just love the quote where Barry Trotz came out and said, "We're treating him like he has a no trade clause." What are you doing?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't see that, but it's weird to have that.
Barry Trotz, obviously an amazing Hall of Fame coach. He said, "I would like to try and be a GM," and it has not worked out at all. If you're president of any other team, you're telling your GM that is a guy you're going to have a conversation with right now before I have my coffee or you're fired. Get on that. But yes, typing.
Anyway, so that trade is one of the biggest in the past decade. I mean, there's some that are close, but that's definitely up there.
It's a huge trade.
But honestly, that's all I have to say about it. It's definitely, it was a shocker sitting on the couch and getting that news, but I don't think any team truly loses here. It's just Carolina's the biggest winner.
Yeah,
I think it puts Carolina directly in cup contention.
Yeah, for the East, they're definitely favorites now. But we'll wait and see, because they've been up there every year, and they have choked year after year with this core. So hopefully, Rantanen's the game breaker that can push them.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly,
Carolina needs to.
that.
to fix their goalie situation, I think, if they want to really be contenders in the East.
Anderson, if he gets injured, it's an issue. But Coach Ketchkov,
He's been injured again, right? This
I
season.
know.
He's barely playing. So I think they need to upgrade there. It's a waste of that D-core and forward lines with Kochetkov backing them. They need better. They deserve better.
He's done pretty good though.
Like, he's a solid goalie, but he has to stay healthy. Like, I loved him when he was on the Leafs. He was a great goalie for the Leafs, but if you're injured, you're useless.
Yeah. Now, Coach Ketchkov had a 9.11 last season, and he has a 9.03 this season, so not quite as good. But if he can bounce back, it could be better.
Are you going to take chances at that spot that Carolina is right now? Bro, go get a number one goalie, a true number one, and go for it.
You saw me laugh. I did not. I was actually looking at something on my other screen that made me laugh. That is.
Oh, it's just too dark to say on air, so.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I have laughed at that joke many, 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 many times, but
Andrew,
this
just
style,
move on, man. What else you got?
Okay, so some people may have seen this, some may have not. It was a collision in the Sens-Toronto game between Cousins and
Quillen.
Yeah, he's a younger forward, and
he was called up from the Marlies because he's been having a great season with the Marlies so far, and they're looking for somebody to replace Tavares a little bit. Obviously, not going to replace Tavares, but he was called up in his first game, and this happened.
So let me go right ahead to the slow motion. So that's going to be better for everyone.
Out there and skating around a little bit. What?
I don't know if this is knee on knee though, Joy. I think.
Well, I think it ended up being knee on knee, but a little bit.
That's his family.
Thank goodness. Yeah, Quillen
out there and skating around a little bit. What?
I don't know if this is knee on knee though, Joy.
So everyone got a good look at it there. Toronto fan, you go first.
I have seen both sides of it. Cousins went for the knee on knee, and I've seen it as an unfortunate collision. 100% honest opinion. Quillen is cutting up the middle of the ice, right at center ice, and he saw Cousins coming at the very last second, and he tried to avoid the hit, but he just didn't get out of the way. Cousins he didn't extend his leg. He was very solid coming in. Quillen threw a little bit of a shoulder fake there, and it threw Cousins a little bit off balance, but he didn't extend his leg. It was an unfortunate collision that could have been avoided but Quillen just didn't get out of the way enough, and him and Cousins collided knee on knee, and the result is what the result is. It's an unfortunate situation that neither player were going for.
Okay. Guy, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to compare this situation with another play that happened a few years ago that has nothing to do with it. When Roman Polak was playing for the Stars and he tried to hit Chris Wagner on a dirty hit, and Wagner somehow got away of it. And Polak, he hit the boards and really got stretched off the ice. And the classic Bruins commentator Jack Edwards said, "Hey, that's some bad hockey karma." When you get a player like Nick Cousins involved, you can bring the karma thing on. But I think in the end, that's an accident with a little bit of karma on top of it to make things end worse on his side.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend Cousins for anything. He is a rat, but he's a useful rat. He does draw the most penalties of almost any player in the league, so he's useful. But he is dirty. There's no question about that. He has been relatively clean on Ottawa this year. I'll say that. I haven't seen anything. They're like, oh, come on. And I'm going to agree with Dave on that. I see him try to get out of the way, but both players reacted too late. And when you push off your leg, that leg's going to be extended. So they went roughly knee on knee. And unfortunately, Cousins is out 4 to 6 weeks. Sens will get him back sometime in March. And I don't know about Quillen. You got anything there?
I haven't seen anything on Quillen yet, but I don't think he probably wasn't gonna play another game for Leafs as it is. But I haven't seen if he's injured or not. So
Sorry, I'll correct myself. Cousins is 6 to 8 weeks, not 4 to 6.
6 to 8, that's tough.
But Cullen was back on the bench for that game. Did he play again, or he?
I believe he went back to the dressing room.
He stayed in the game.
Was it?
I mean, after the play, the video
Christ.
shows that he's sitting back on the bench, not going to the dressing room. So I don't know if he got to play
he
again,
stayed.
but
I don't see anything here about him being injured, but he did not skate on Monday and was forced to miss the Leafs' annual outdoor practice. He did appear on the ice Tuesday with the rest of the injured Leafs, so maybe there is something, but nothing's confirmed according to MapleLeafsDaily.com.
For him, it's tough. He's on one of his first 3 or 4 shifts of his NHL career, and that happens.
Bad luck.
Bad karma.
Well, that's for Cousins, not for him. He hasn't been in the league long enough to create karma.
Yeah,
but I did see somebody compared this play, and it was completely out of left field. They compared Quillen to Cedric Paré and Nick Cousins to Line. And he actually tried to say that Quillen went and jumped out of the way and purposely kneed Cousins in the knee in that situation. When I saw that, I immediately laughed. I'm like, what do you need to make a fully functional brain? Because that is awful. That's probably the worst review of that I've ever seen. Of anything that I've ever seen. It was bad. I just thought to myself, this guy is not very intelligent.
Honestly,
it was bad.
I think it's just accidental. Sucks for both players. If Quillen's out any amount of time, he's trying to make a name for himself. And for Cousins, it sucks for the Sens. He's a good third, fourth line piece. He knows other teams. Sens are pushing for the playoffs. He draws penalties. So it's kind of a lose-lose, honestly.
It's hockey.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's high speed.
It's the fastest game out there. So,
moving on to another collision, kind of a more high-profile one. I'm sure everyone's heard about this. Mark Stone tripping / hitting Miro Heiskanen. So I'll get that up for everyone here. There's varied opinions on this. Some people are calling for Mark Stone's head. Some are saying that it was just an accident. But let's see what you guys think.
Oh, what's he doing, man?
It's been a rough night for Miro Heiskanen and Mark Stone. We got a lot coming up. Don't move a muscle. Stick around, everybody.
Oh, what's he doing, man?
So he's going for a poke on the puck.
I gotta tell you guys, this was
and Heiskanen's off ice, obviously.
Heiskanen from Mark Stone. You heard Ray Ferraro.
That's a hyperextension. That's MCL. That's nasty.
It sucks, but I'll go first this time. This is what I see. I see Mark Stone going for a poke, going for the puck. His right skate toe picks, causing him to trip and take out Heiskanen's legs. Could he have been a bit more careful going for that poke? yes, but at the same time, this is the NHL. You're gonna go in. That would have been a normal hit probably if he hadn't toe picked. But I don't see anything inherently dirty. It obviously ended in a nasty injury for Heiskanen, and Stone was completely fine. He got up, and obviously Stars players came and started giving him some shit. But what do you guys think?
Stone's not a dirty player. One of his best stats is his turnover ability, like to get the puck back from the other team. It's odd that he would dive in that sort of situation, but he's a two-way forward. And he's trying to get the puck back. It's not intentional. That's not what he was going for. It's again another unfortunate situation that unfortunately might be another long-term injury. And obviously the Stars are not happy because they're losing Miro Heiskanen.
Yes, star
it's
defenseman.
it's a tough situation, but Mark Stone's not a dirty player. If anything, it's just his antics of being injured and magically coming back for the playoffs.
I blame that more on Vegas.
Yeah. The same people that traded away Marc-Andre Fleury after winning the Vezina for a draft pick.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think, Guy?
I think, as you said, Andrew, he's coming for the poke check, but accidentally he hits LB as well. So LB, he just dives.
For any Xbox shell player, you're going to understand that. For any PlayStation, even.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean,
R1 and L1 in PlayStation.
Yes.
Stone was known in Ottawa as being an all-around great guy. He was beloved by everyone. But ever since he left, it's not only the injury reserve thing. He has been doing some kind of questionable hits and plays.
There
It's not
have
only
been a
this
few
one.
kind of gray area, that borderline sort of hit or play, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stone, off the ice, he is known as a great guy. I've heard so many stories about how nice of a person he is. He actually still goes back to Ottawa to do some charity work, as well as buy his vehicles. So there was one dealership that I guess hooked him up when he first started as a rookie. Still goes back.
Mm-hmm.
And considering he's in Vegas, that's pretty damn nice.
Yeah. But I mean, on this play,
Mhm.
I mean, if he didn't trip on the other play's stick, he's like going head first on the guy's knees. It's not like a safe way to injure someone. You can get yourself hurt there too.
Yes.
I mean, I see that as an accident, even though his later history kinds of takes away some of the leeway he had in the past.
If we see another incident like this shortly, maybe I'll start questioning, but like player safety is not even going to look at this. It's going to be, okay, well, it shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't in anyone's control because they look at intent and they look at could the player have done anything to change this? And there's nothing that he could have really done. Toe picking sucks, Guy, I know you don't skate, but Dave, you skated enough.
On one of my first dates with my now wife, she hurt her knee because she fell over laughing because I was trying to pivot, and I toe picked and literally did a full 360 in the air and hit the ice. I had a little bruise on my forearm because it was just a free skate, no equipment, honestly. But my wife actually fell and hurt her knee because she was laughing so hard. It was actually
There's that hockey karma we were talking about.
Bad hockey karma.
So toe picking can be the end of it, especially as a defenseman. You're trying to skate back, you got a guy rushing at you. You catch a little divot in the ice. Your feet are now over top of your head. It happens so quickly. And it can be one of the most embarrassing things that you go through. And yeah, it sucks when it happens. But it happens. It's part of hockey.
Well, we'll see. I doubt there's player safety on either of those. It's been long enough. Cousins and Quillen aren't going to have anything. Stone Heiskanen, I feel like it would have come out today, the 29th. So I doubt anything comes of
Yeah.
that, but this has been episode 13. Hope everyone's enjoyed. We have plenty of stuff coming up next episode. We're going to discuss in more depth Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, what's going to happen there, who's getting traded. I've heard something crazy that both could be traded. We'll talk about Clark of the LA Kings potentially being traded now that Doughty's back, as well as Pietrangelo stepping down from Team Canada, and Matthews potentially being, what was that, Dave?
So
Something going on there.
There was a potential for him stepping down from Team USA because he's had injuries this year, but we'll get more into it tomorrow. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope everyone's enjoyed. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment any question that you want answered or discussed on the show. We're happy to entertain. So, if anyone has any content they'd like us to talk about, just shoot us a DM on Instagram, tweet us on X, or comment on YouTube. And Guy, thank you for joining again. Much appreciated.
It's always a pleasure.
You bring a Brazilian smiles on us every single time.
Oh, okay. Have a good night, everyone.